Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Creative Caddy. I'm your host Claire. I'm an artist, musician, and a lover of basically anything creative. In today's episode, we are going to be diving into the creative world, talking about my favorite thing to do in my spare time, which is Lego. Ever since I was a kid, I would always gravitate towards some sort of creative thing, whether that meant Lego, music, drawing, writing songs. I was very interested in these types of things. In my teenage years, I actually ventured on to the online creative world and started a YouTube channel about my original Lego creations. I must say that was one of my most favorite endeavors that I've ever gone through creatively. There are so many everyday tasks that we complete without even realizing that art is a part of it. An example of this would be walking down the street in a big city and you see ads everywhere. Specifically in New York City, there are a bunch of ads everywhere. When you're driving on the highway and you look up and you see billboards, that is also art. When you go to McDonald's to get your 10-piece chicken nugget and there are graphics on the packaging, that is also art. The term art is commonly associated with traditional forms like painting and drawing, but to me, it is so much more. As an art student, I have witnessed and been part of some environments that have a straightforward answer as to what art is and its purpose. Many people agree that it would be painting or drawing or some sort of traditional method of expression. However, I have come to learn that art is so much more than that if you will let it be. In this episode, I want to tackle a very specific question that I have struggled with throughout the years, being a content creator and trying to decide if I'm an artist. The question is Lego considered art? Are Lego bricks a medium that artists actually use? And if so, how effective are they? So today we're going to be looking at a few different Lego artists, some of which weren't artists prior to Lego. And so that brings me to my first example. There is a guy named Nathan Sawaya. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And he was actually a lawyer and allegedly quit his job to do Lego full time. Sawaya actually created the exhibition The Art of the Brick that premiered in 2007 until 2024 globally. So I'm going to leave that there. Let's get straight into his story.
Lego has given me the title really unique customer because I buy hundreds of thousands of Lego every month. I used to practice corporate law in New York City, mergers, acquisitions, real exciting stuff. I would come home after a long day at the law firm and I would need some sort of outlet. I would draw, I would paint, and sometimes I would sculpt. It was just one day I thought about this toy from my childhood, Lego bricks. Could I sculpt large-scale sculptures using this toy? And so I started experimenting, and I just dug out all the old bricks I had from when I was a kid and just tried to replicate things I saw in my apartment. And I put together a website, which became really my virtual gallery. People started contacting me and saying, hey, can you build me this? Can you build me that? Actually, when my website crashed from too many hits, that I realized, there's something to this. I decided to make that change, and I left the law firm behind to play with bricks full time.
I'm going to pause it there because I do have a comment. I think it is very interesting that he actually wasn't considering himself an artist before Lego. Of course, he said that he liked to draw and paint, but in this particular scenario, Lego as a medium is very important to his story.
The reaction from friends and family was interesting. There was some people who were a little negative about it and thought I was crazy. I didn't know how long it would last. I thought maybe I'll be able to pay rent next month, but I don't know if I'll have a job after that. During those down times, when I didn't have something, didn't have a commission, that's when I would create art for myself. And that's really what the Art of the Brick became, this exhibition of art that I created on my own that now tours the globe.
So he mentions here that he started creating art for himself, and I think that is a really beautiful thing because If you are doing something you're not necessarily passionate about and you're doing it for other people, you are not going to succeed. So I just think that's a really beautiful thing that happened for him.
The bricks I use in my art are the very same bricks that people could purchase at a toy store. I don't paint them. I don't have access to special colors or special shapes and sizes. And we're in my art studio today where I have over 5 million Lego bricks. When you look at my sculptures up close, you see all those sharp corners and right angles, and then you back away from it, and all those corners, they blend into curves. And that's kind of the magic of using Lego bricks. You know, you don't have to find one career path. There are many ways to get to where you want to go. Even if you don't know where that is right now, you can always change what you are.
Wow, I love that last part so much. I actually really relate to that because graduating out of a degree such as something like art, you don't really have an idea of how this career will impact you and what kind of job you will get. And so I think that's really good advice. Also, the fact that he was able to make a tour out of what he was passionate about and a living off of that is wild to me. I think it's also impressive the ability he had to have so many bricks because they are very expensive. I wouldn't even want to think about how much money he has put into bricks alone. So moving right along, we will take a look at an interview from the Lego channel about artist Katherine Duclos, who uses Lego as her main medium. She says she sees Lego bricks as, quote unquote, the start of something. Let's take a listen.
I've known for a really long time that as I walk through the world, I notice colors. I've always wanted the ability to take a color from one spot and move it physically next to a different color. I think art enables me to do that in my own way on a smaller scale. I've always pursued art. When I was a kid, I drew a lot. I really enjoyed putting colors in order, so the art materials were always like something that I was drawn to visually. You go into an art store and you see the arrangement of markers or the colored pencils, and as a kid, just seeing that color order was what drew me to the process. I think I always used art as a means of regulating and calming myself down, and I'd get lost in my own world of just putting one thing next to each other in a satisfying way. My brain requires that rearrangement of color and objects.
I totally get what she's saying because many art forms are very effective in helping regulate whether that means your emotions, your physical state, your mental state. I totally get where she is coming from with that, and I think that is a beautiful thing.
I am autistic and I have ADHD, so I often use the short term AUDHD.
Why are you stepping on the Lego? It feels good.
I did not realize that I was neurodivergent until a couple years ago, after both of my kids were diagnosed autistic. It's thrown our family off a bit. It's not something that we had predicted. It's not something we knew anything about.
So at this part of the video, she goes on to talk about her family and how it is living with your children that are on the spectrum. And I think she made sure to include this to show how Lego has impacted her and her family and how good of a thing it's been for them. And then the rest of the video is her talking about her collaboration, so let's jump right back into listening.
My son was 3. He was really into Lego bricks at the time. It was just Lego set after Lego set after Lego set, and all he ever wanted to do was build. He has taught me a lot. He knows how to use the pieces in ways that I don't. He can build sets like I can't at all. Who's better at sets, me or you?
If you look closely, it's actually a green base. The color makes it stand out in a good way.
I owe you a lot. Toys like Lego bricks give kids like my kids who need agency, they actually need it to survive. Like they have an intense survival drive
driven by autonomy. Like, they need to be autonomous. And we had to learn that as parents, that like they're not going to be the type of kids that we could say, you do this, and then they'll do it. They have to be able to do it themselves.
One day, he handed me this block of Lego bricks, and he said, I want you to have these colors. I think you'll like these colors. It was like a light bulb. And I said, oh, this is just color. These are just pieces of color. And if I use them just as color, then I can use them like I've been using paint or colored pencils or my collage materials, and I can just make art with them. I have an instinct for like which two pieces should go next to each other to create a vibration in your eye. Every piece I put down informs the next. It's like a call and a response, a call and a response, a call and a response. What I have learned in the process of using the Lego bricks as an art material is that they're far more versatile than I thought initially. Learning all the different ways to attach and learning all the ways that you can layer and build color depth has been really interesting. I can build a lot of texture and structure that can be read as linear elements, that can be read as big color fields.
So with that, she was basically just talking about her artistic process with Lego as opposed to any other medium, which I found was very interesting. And then she ends this part of the video by talking about how art transforms the audience. So let's take a listen to that.
Good art has 3 transformations. 1, the artist transforming the material. So I'm trying to make these Lego bricks into something greater than their individual thing. If the artist does that well, they're transformed in the process. When you make work, you come away with something saying, oh, now I understand something better about myself, about my material, about how others receive it. And using the Lego bricks as a material, as one of my mediums, I've expanded something in myself. I've transformed. The audience is the 3rd transformation. They see it and they're changed by it. They walk away saying, oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to look at my Lego bricks differently now. I'm going to see what I can do with them. I'm going to put them together in a different way.
What she said was very interesting. I think there is a cycle of transformation within creating art to show people, to express yourself. And aside from expression, there are other benefits of using Lego, such as activism and representing your culture. Lastly, I want to share an artist named Ekow Nimako, a Canadian artist who uses black Lego bricks to build jaw-dropping sculptures. He started by building these sculptures at his home and eventually started building in his studios. Let's take a listen.
So this has my name etched in gold. This is my signature piece. This is what completes an artwork.
Meet Ekow Nimako, a Ghanaian-Canadian artist making breathtaking art out of black Lego bricks.
My entire life, I've probably clicked hundreds of thousands of parts, probably millions.
Is it Legos or Lego?
Are you serious? It's Lego. It's never Legos. And Lego actually is an abbreviated form of Legot, which is Danish for play well. Little known fact.
Actually, this is a very common thing that happens when people are talking about Lego, and it is one of my personal pet peeves. So if you're around me, do not say Legos because it's going to make me cringe. Anyway, let's resume.
I'm actually not sure what this sculpture is going to be. I know it will be a goddess. I know that she will have these kind of cornrows going on. This tubing was not made to be hair, but when I look at parts now, I just see different parts of anatomy that just like speak out to me. This artwork so far, I think I've clocked in almost 100 hours. Some artworks could take up to 1,000 hours.
So I want to note with this art form, there are pre-existing pieces that you cannot change or modify. So you kind of have to roll with what you have and use these pieces more intentionally than you would, say, using a brush, because you can control that brush, you can control where it goes and what it creates. But with Lego bricks, it is a lot harder to come up with a finalized product.
So we're in Studio C. It's where I've been building my series, Building Black Amorphia Spiritual Starships. So I'm going to build a spiritual starship today. The idea behind it is that we take inspiration from science fiction, but at the same time, it's very important for me to centralize Black characters, Black stories, Black history within that context. So I'll be taking the form of a T-47 airspeeder and turning it into an ancestral vessel.
The thing with this dude is that he uses so much of his culture and background, and it inspires his work heavily. Also, he mentions that he's a futuristic builder, which I think is really cool, and it adds a spin and makes his work very original.
Interesting thing about the Legoverse, especially when it's rooted in like the yellow minifigure. The Simpsons taught me, that yellow is synonymous with white. But just like any kind of equity work, there's always more, and it's a long road. But it seems like they're committed to making the right choices. As a Black artist, our work is healing and it's edifying for Black children to see themselves reflected in this toy form. I think that's really important, and that keeps me waking up wanting to do this as well, is that I've been granted a gift. Gifts should not go to waste.
I too think he was granted with a gift, and I'm very glad that he is choosing to share that with the world. And based off of all these stories, I would say that Lego is a real and effective medium for art. But still, what about Lego sets? What about Lego in general? What about someone buying a set off the shelf, building it, and displaying it? Is that still art? I did want to get personal with this question and ask real people off of my Lego platform, and I got some interesting responses, and so I definitely wanted to share that on this episode. One follower answered this with, "I think it's a medium for art." Another said, "Yes, but it depends on what the builder is using Lego for." Another said, "Not all, but some MOCs I would consider art." Another one took a different stance on this and still agreed that it would be art, but elaborated on the fact, and I quote, "A collector displaying or showing off the same playset would be art." Another creator that makes fan art for different copyrights, I guess, said, "I treat all my stuff as fan art." And then I had a few more that were saying basically, it depends on how you're using it. This is where the debate comes in of, is Lego art only when it's being displayed as art like traditional forms would be, or is Lego art in the aspect of just creating, even if you are following instructions? So along this train of thought, someone said, yes, look no further than Nathan Sawaya. Of course, this poll was posted after I actually found the video of Nathan, but I thought that was a really cool coincidence. And another one said, of course it is. You're creating something with your hand. I'd say it's art. It's subjective though. And so I've given examples of how Lego is being used as art in today's age, and also I gave you some answers as to what the majority thinks about this question. A fellow art student was discussing this with me, and they said, it's taking a medium and using it to create, or contextually speaking, build something. Even if it's following instructions to create a pre-designed set, I still think that it can be considered art, just as much as someone coloring in a coloring book. Anything that involves creativity at any level deserves to fall somewhere on the artistic spectrum. The point in asking this question was to see the majority of answers. Almost everyone agreed Lego is art in some sort of state or fashion. Art is an intentional act of expression. Just as we discovered in listening to these amazing stories, it helps us work through mental struggles, create a new life for ourselves, make us embrace our heritage, and helps us to express ourselves. With that being said, that is going to wrap up today's conversation, but if you'd like to listen to more, please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about today's episode. Until next time, keep creating what you love.